Greetings, I'm Dave Gilmore, and this is Design Intelligence. Tom Spahn is an investor and operating partner in private equity whose investments are being made in the built environment industry. He helps people bring innovative ideas to life in the marketplace. He sat down with me recently to discuss the potential and challenges around property technology and how built environment professionals can take advantage of the opportunities now and into the future.
Welcome to this edition of This is Design Intelligence. Conversations with leadership voices in the built environment.
So, Tom Spahn, I'm so honored that you joined us here on This is Design Intelligence.
Well, it's a real pleasure to be here, Dave. Thanks so much. Really looking forward to having a conversation.
So thanks for coming down. We're here in La Jolla, California at the Design Futures Council Leadership Summit on Technology and Applied Innovation in La Jolla, California. And it's a really tough place to have to meet, isn't it?
It's rough. Someone's got to do it. So when I was in the Navy, I had to be stationed in Hawaii. So it was just, similar tough duty station.
So speaking of the Navy, you were in the Navy for a number of years. You were an officer. Tell us a little bit about that background.
Yeah. So I was in the submarine force on the USS Chicago for part of that tour after nuclear power school. I was stationed in San Diego, so right down the road from here. And then before that, Hawaii. So a lot of great duty stations. So yeah, was in the Navy for about 7 years, which included a trip over to Afghanistan to do an Army job. Yeah, so that was my Navy career. Got me started in the world.
That's fantastic. And so we're spending time together at Design Intelligence with you, Tom, because we're creating some new efforts in the marketplace around ventures and technology and helping the built environment, who has so many phenomenal and creative people, be able to realize their creativity sometimes through processes that they redesign, through technologies that they want or have developed, and helping to bring those things live into the greater marketplace. Tell us some detail around that.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time, and it's quite an ironic state of affairs that some of the most creative industries, engineering and architecture, are a bit behind in the innovation space when it comes to other industries. If you look at the McKinsey digitization by industry, real estate, construction tech, and engineering always wind up quite near the bottom of the innovation and new venture space.
I think that architecture made it to second to the last on the list behind agriculture. And then I think agriculture has actually jumped above us at this point.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite surprising because like I said, it's a creative space. There's so much opportunity. It's odd that folks haven't really jumped into the space yet. I think when you look at property technology in general, you have a lot of new entrants over the last 10 years or so that have really catalyzed and energized the space and encouraged a lot of capital to flow into the space, which has in turn created an ecosystem where companies can be started and be successful, attract more talent, attract more ideas, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The design, engineering, and architecture space, I think, is right on the cusp. I mean, it's only a matter of time. You guys see the success that some of the PropTech firms are seeing, and you see some of the challenges and the aging workforce, that something's got to change, and there has to be efficiencies, and that comes through innovation and innovative companies.
So what do you think is really driving investors to put the billions of dollars they are into property technology? Do they really see it as a transformative industry, or is it just the latest thing going by to throw money at?
Yeah, I think it really has to do with timing in the industry itself, not necessarily the capital raising industry, the venture industry, but in the real estate industry. You've had a real turnover in generational management. You have a lot of younger people coming into these companies that are embracing new technologies, starting to see new forms of working, new ways of working, especially after the pandemic, where folks have realized that these assets are just sitting there and there could be better uses. And for a long time, they've just been cash cows and have been collecting rents and not really thinking about the people involved and some of the opportunities to use assets in new ways. We were talking the other day about WeWork. People make fun of WeWork for a variety of reasons, but they really accomplished a lot and unlocked a lot of value and a new way to utilize assets that I think caught a lot of people's attention beyond the flashy almost IPO.
Well, I think the mismanagement is one thing and accomplishments are another. And so you're always going to have mismanagement. It's just welcome to humanity. But sadly, it was on a grand stage with lots of pomp and circumstance. But we do see that through the work that they did open new avenues. It's very interesting to see the SoftBank investments also of Katerra, and really believe that they had a solution to accelerating positive design, closing the gap on time, etc. But the business model didn't really hold up. But that doesn't mean you throw it out hook, line, and sinker. You've got to be able to say, wait a minute, is there something powerful that could be learned from that for its next iteration? Same dynamic with WeWork. And what does that mean to the future of property and how technology is deployed for authentic performance management?
And I think that's exactly right. The authenticity is really important. There's tons of opportunities, and the bar, technology-wise, is quite low to enter the property technology space. However, the challenges are real, and people say that real estate is unique as an industry, and it's really true. There's a lot of specific headwinds to the industry that people coming from outside don't really appreciate, I think. And I think with the almost success of WeWork and the success of some of the other companies at Procore that went public, you're starting to see more combination of founders that are both architects / engineers / designs, as well as technology people getting together and creating management teams that are a lot stronger and can appreciate some of the nuances in the industry that pure technologists can't really do.
Do you think that property technology, which is, I would say, is primarily, not exclusively, but primarily focused on energy management and energy reduction, is going to see a continued boost because of the emphasis on the UN ESG goals? For sure. And I think it's going to come in two ways. One is energy prices are going up all the time, even aside from Russia's activities. And I think folks are realizing that part of energy security is to be able to control the use of energy and reduce the use of energy. And I think also there's the capital returns that are starting to be realized by folks by increasing NOI and reducing costs are having a combination effect with people being more aware of the climate challenges that we face. All those factors are combining to really encourage and boost the sector. I think there's a risk, though, because you see some of the valuations till very recently going completely out of control when someone sticks ESG in their business plan, much like blockchain. If someone says it's blockchain for X, people leap on it. I think the business model itself has to stand on its own before you throw in the buzzwords to make a really successful company that grows well. So as an investor who helps guide assets towards viable investments, what do you look at when you're looking at, for instance, a property technology offering that might be being presented or as a needing seed funding or second round funding, et cetera? What is it you're looking at to drive viable investment? Great question. I think first it's important to appreciate that all investment dollars are not the same. A private equity investor has a very different risk profile and time horizon than a venture investor. So for a venture investor to get interested, there has to be a venture return possible commensurate with the risk being taken. So that off the bat is the number one. Is there a potential for a venture return, which usually means, is this going to disrupt the industry as a whole, which is a pretty high bar. After that, it's all about the team. The team, especially at the seed stage, is absolutely critical. You can overcome a lot, but if you don't have the right team, your first roadblock, you're going to stumble over and your company's going to fail. And also, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy where if you have a great founding team, they attract great talent and so on and so on. And it's really, really critical to get that core business right. From there, we really look at traction. Has the company landed great customers? How many customers? Are they keeping their customers? And then everything else is essentially confirmatory. Have they been able to grow as they've said they're going to be able to grow? Are they executing on their unit economics? Are they retaining the customers? And that all comes out in the financials and some of the other documents. And then lastly, the deal itself is the risk commensurate with the pricing, and will everyone get to a good outcome? The object is to grow the pie, not to take a part of the pie. Yeah, I think there's an obsession, of course, with the term unicorns, and people just keep looking for, swinging for the fences. They're swinging for home runs when what wins baseball games are singles and doubles all day long. Yeah. Does everything have to be industry disruptive to be successful?
that's a tough one. So for venture dollars, typically yes, which is rather unfortunate. It's a bit short-sighted, I think, because you can build a great business with singles, but if you want to have that risk portfolio and risk profile, I should say, you have to have some of those swing for the fences ones. Interestingly, if you're looking at a space, though, those opportunities really naturally present themselves amongst the singles and doubles. There's going to be some home runs in the space that you're dealing with naturally.
We had a guest on the podcast series here, Volker Buscher, who is the chief data officer of Arup. And he was talking to us about data strategies. There is a beautiful coupling between property technology and its yield, which is data. But I'm not sure that people get that they're, it's one thing to put in a bunch of devices and have them start talking to us, but what do you do with the volume that comes out of all of that in the form of data?
Right, for sure. It's for so long, there's been a big empty black space when data came to the physical world. People just didn't know what was in there, didn't know how it was performing. There were no benchmarking. Now you have almost an overwhelming amount of data where you have sensors on everything and growing increasingly exponentially, which is interesting because you need to have a way to draw insights from that data. So you can have all the data in the world, but people can be very reluctant to stick sensors all over their building if they can't do anything with the data. So it's almost a chicken and egg problem. You need the data to develop the algorithms that can give you the machine learning that can give you outcomes, but at the same time, you need to gather the data initially as well.
So as you think about the event that you're attending here in La Jolla, what interests you about what we're doing and this collection of interesting people and speakers we brought together? What intrigued you about coming to this event?
It's the opportunity to I guess, evangelize the PropTech world to the architecture and design and engineering space. People at PropTech firms call PropTech a monolith and say they're very agnostic as to what phase of the build world they're investing in. But it's not really true. Most of the PropTech folks, and not all of them, are real estate professionals and know the real estate space really well, but don't necessarily know the architecture and design and engineering space. So to get some folks in the room hopefully excited about technology and innovation and all the benefits it can bring, maybe get the juices flowing with some problems they've come up with that they may have a solution to, may not, and get those ideas percolating, and maybe someone will spin out a company and it'll be the next unicorn or the next single. Singles are great. Singles are great.
Right? So I think about, if this design community really understood the value of property technology and design intelligence, we say that it holds the promise of defensible design because the data can prove, hopefully, not disprove, that what you promised in your design, the PropTech can actually become that promise keeper for you as far as the yield of the data showing it's performing as designed, right? At the end of the day. And one of the things that we are pushing and trying to influence is that property tech design should be a part of original building design, not an after the fact, not a post occupancy or post turnover event where suddenly all of this PropTech gets drilled into the walls and behind the scenes. It's contemplated in original design of the building and how that might change where we place PropTech and what its purpose is. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think it's spot on. It's very strange that you have the only way you can get technology generally in a building is if you stick it on after the fact. In this modern day and age where information technology is ubiquitous, there's no reason why from day one, technology is not an integral part of the buildings that folks are designing and building. And it just opens up a new way that buildings can function, probably ways we haven't even thought of yet, even in science fiction. There's so much potential out there.
Well, do you have any general thoughts that you'd like to share with our audience?
Well, gosh, I guess I just encourage any potential entrepreneurs out there to go for it. There's a lot of opportunity. There's, at least for the moment, plenty of capital out there. There's plenty of folks like yourself that can help nurture ideas. And I've found that both at a PropTech firm. And then at this event, everyone's very willing to talk about ideas, bounce things back and forth. There's no hidden secrets that folks are trying to hide the ball. People are very willing to talk about their ideas and eager to give feedback and give advice and to try new things and to explore ways to help and make introductions. So I think it's a very inclusive space, which I think is really encouraging. So I really encourage folks to just embrace the technology and run with their ideas.
It's fantastic because we're co-creating a facility for this audience. If you have an idea, if you have a concept, maybe a minimum viable product that you've cobbled together and you're wondering, what do I do with this? Could this become something? We're creating a facility for you to be able to pass it through us and for us to apply our expertise to show you where you are, what could be done, to be honest with you about what it takes to move the thing forward, and then as appropriate to get behind you to bring your products and services to market. So we're pretty excited about this venture and what we're doing together. So let me ask you, when you're not doing investing in PropTech and all of the wonderful work that you do, what do you do for fun? What is your life?
Oh boy. So I have 2 kids. They're 3 and 5. So that takes up 99.999%. Other than that, I have a very esoteric set of hobbies. I like to kite surf and mountain bike. And I also like model shipbuilding, which I've got into pretty recently. Very strange. I don't know if there's many people that do that, but it's quite cathartic.
No, we're not talking about like in a bottle.
Not in a bottle.
Okay.
But 24-inch, the little intricate rigging.
It's maybe kind of fun to get down into the detail and then watch something be created.
Right.
So
it's almost like building a company.
Well, you're a creator, so at the end of the day, that's what it is. Tom, thanks for joining me on This Is Design Intelligence. It's been a pleasure to spend this time with you.
Likewise, really appreciate it, and looking forward to times ahead.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of This is Design Intelligence. The producer is Laura Spells. The sound engineer is Jared Knable. This has been a DI Media Group production.